how do you have time to study about the government when you're too busy trying to fucking feed your family? Exactly. So it's like you're too busy.
Stop feeding your family.
All right, so the San Francisco Chronicle, they used a machine learning to sort through 2.3 million property records in the area of SF. And the results showed that majority of the Bay Area is owned by 12 mega landlords.
I wouldn't be surprised because a lot of properties, what people don't know, is owned by like big companies like fucking BlackRock, Blackstone.
Is that something that's super common?
It is now, you know, because they got the money to buy up everything.
Do you remember that one period where like even Zillow was buying up homes?
Yeah.
So it would be like, oh, your realtor can't sell it, I'll buy it for you. It seemed like, oh shit, is Zillow moving into a market where they're just gonna start buying up all the real estate too?
Go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say, is the government in on that too? Do they have like government specific shells that are
like kickbacks or subsidies?
Or is that just at like the mortgage-backed securities whole thing with like the Fed and whatnot?
I think the politicians who have control over zoning, they're the ones getting all the kickbacks. Because think about certain zones couldn't happen unless they made it happen.
They're getting that nickel off the vending machine, man.
Nickel off the vending machine. That fucking hockey coach, dude.
Corrupt principles everywhere.
Yeah. The government, if you consider like the military and all these things, they own a lot of land. Like they're if you add them in the list, they're one of the biggest land owners of private land, or not private, but like let's say there's a zone, like there's a military base, that would technically be government owned.
So you said something that kind of sparked a little bit of my curiosity right now. Ryan looked at you and he's like, is that common? And you're like, it is now. So that means like not long ago, most homeowners were really homeowners, like individuals, right? Maybe like a generation ago. Definitely like I'm guessing in like the 50s and before that, if you bought a home, you probably bought a home, like you owned a home, whatever, right? What does that mean moving forward? Like obviously in the near future, these 12 mega landlords or even like, 100 years from now, even less own more. Like what is that actually gonna do to our society? Yeah, what does that mean?
We're gonna turn into a renting nation.
You will own nothing and rent everything and be okay with it.
In the Sun Belt, not even American companies, they allow 2 Canadian hedge funds to buy up pretty much the Sun Belt. So they're buying up these homes.
Where's the Sun Belt at?
It's like Georgia, that East Coast area, Georgia, I think the Carolinas right there. So, when millennials graduate, that's where they're migrating because it's close to the beach, close to the coast, but it's affordable. So before they even get there, these hedge funds are coming in, buying up all these new properties and renting it out to them, making it almost impossible for them to buy a house. So they'd rather just rent these nicer, newer homes in the Sun Belt. So think about this. It's the government that allowed it. So you got to think about anytime something happens, there's got to be a shot caller. If you've been in jail before, there's always a shot caller. And things don't happen in the yard unless the shot caller lets it happen. So you think about,
and it's so funny when they just blame corporations. You greedy corporations, but who's allowing the corporations to come in?
Right. So is the move to just buy something as quickly as possible before it becomes a renter nation, or?
Yeah, I think so. You think about home building just picked up speed, but not on single family homes, on apartments, multi-units. Because it's too expensive to build a home and sell it to a consumer right now because interest rates are so high. So they're still building, but they're building more apartments. It's pretty much, this country is becoming a subscription country. So they want you to be tied to the teat and keep,
Are there any countries that are already like that and we can see what America is turning into?
Not that I know of off the top of my head, I think Canada is probably the worst because things are so expensive in Canada, you can only rent. And that's why Canada now, like think about, they start off with free health insurance, right? Like everyone gets health insurance. Now you're used to that, and then they're gonna create another layer, then another layer. So like, okay, it's too expensive, at least we'll make sure they're all housing, but you have to pay X amount. Well, you can't afford health insurance, here's free health insurance for everybody,
So we're a Netflix-ass country overall, dude.
Yeah, it's turned that way.
I'm gonna tell you guys about some of those companies that own the properties, and they all have like these interesting little characteristics.
Like fucking Oscar Mayer and shit. Fucking own like 30 homes.
But they also create, they do like genocide in another nation.
Well, there's like one strange feature about all of them. One of them's called Veritas Investments. Truth. And so like when they look up the names of like who's operating these apartments, Veritas Investments doesn't even appear, yet they do run it. And in a weird way, it's like they They say they work with investors to buy rentals and manage tenants, but it won't say Veritas Investments. However, there'll be LLCs that have invested with Veritas to own these apartments, and those LLCs are registered under the name of the CEO of Veritas. So it's not actual. I don't know what that workaround achieves.
Probably not a shell, but like a way to protect legally.
Yeah, and it's the CEO and his family members that are registered to those LLCs each.
Pretty much they're diluting the taxes because if you have, if money comes in, if you make X amount of money, instead of you paying taxes on, let's say, $100 million, all right, they spread it out so everyone's tax bracket's lower, so you pay less taxes. So that's one reason why they do it. And the second reason is for if someone gets hurt, you're suing the corporation, which it's just a shell, and then you don't owe it.
Right.
Yeah, so you can sue the individual, but it won't attack like the parent company Veritas or something like that because they're separate. Even
I
though it's the
thought
same
that's
people.
why they make LLCs is for
Protection?
each thing that you own, like a complex or a home. It's owned by one LLC, and that's protecting the.
You're only suing the LLC. You're not suing the person in general. Because let's say you fall in this building, you're suing the person who owns this building only, and the building's under an LLC because you can't sue that person directly because you fell into this building.
Because BlackRock owns this place now.
Oh wow. So there's another guy named Michael Marr, and this dude is infamous. He's one of the East Bay's largest private landlords. And then this dude has had some problems with the FBI because he got his office raided in 2011. He conspired with a bunch of other bidders to not go into a bidding war when properties were up for auction. So him and a whole network of people one guy would bid for it and no one would fight him, so everyone got cheap ass land.
Wow. So that's just called friendship, in my opinion.
Yeah, he was found guilty of friendship.
It's called the dim sum homies.
That's called taking turns.
Yeah, remember I paid for dim sum last time, guys?
As much as that's a joke, I kind of agree.
That does sound kind of cool.
It's like if all of us were like, "Hey, today, it's your turn to get the apartment." Okay.
Yeah, I mean that's unionizing in a way, right?
Like a Clifford the Big Red Dog book could be based on that. You know what I mean? That's teamwork, dude.
Yeah.
It's like, now you buy a home for cheap. Now you buy a home for cheap. Everyone's happy.
And the thing is, they all kept their word, and no one fought against each other. So I'm like, that's really friendly.
Yeah.
Is that illegal?
I don't think that's illegal. I think it depends how you corner the market. I think business is business. I see like my buddies, they would buy dispensaries back then, and they would buy the building, and they would just make things so expensive to force out the other dispensaries, and then they would do it to force them out of the whole area, Garden Grove, and then they would take ownership of it, and then they got it so cheap they just forced people out. Wow. They would buy the building, increase the rent, or they would make their product so cheap that the shops there can't compete, and then they'd buy the product back from those guys and then kick them out, and then end up owning that corner. They would own more corners that way.
So they would like buy
being
that
Walmart.
person's business as they move out, so they would keep the business in that spot, but it's under new ownership, and they would just like slowly monopolize the entire thing.
Yeah, and then clients were still there because think about it, if you go there to buy your marijuana, you're still there. It's not like it went anywhere.
Yeah.
It's part of your route.
Yeah,
Like you're just gonna keep going.
Right. So they buy the building. They would make their stuff as cheap as possible, dirt cheap, and they would start raising rent slowly. And then think about if you can't sell weed, but your rent keeps going up, you eventually have to bounce. All right, okay, we'll help you out. Whatever you have in there, we'll buy it at 50% off, so you can at least walk away.
Yeah.
Oh, so then
So it's like the same
when
thing
you
as
liquidate, they
yeah.
just like consume, like take all.
But when these guys do it, it's not against. Yeah, when these guys do it, it's not bad. But when
Right. Ooh, dang. So the third one they talk about is called Greystar Real Estate Partners.
Oh, we know Greystar.
You know Greystar?
Greystar owns my building.
Oh wow. Yeah. Well, they've been sued by the feds over 200 times in the past 26 years. Yeah. And
What did they
And I'm
do
a
wrong?
loyal customer.
And Greystar's international, so they're all over the world. They own almost in the U.S. 750,000 multifamily units. Wow. And
What the fuck? That's 750,000 apartments.
it's a shitload. Yeah.
Damn!
And
They have
became-
millions of residents, dude. That's crazy. They have a whole country worth of residents.
And they're known like as the coldest group. Like they're savage.
They're like the slumlords of the world.
Well, not slumlords, but they'll do moves that are like pretty fucking ballsy. Like they became famous when they demolished a 216-unit rent-controlled complex in Silicon Valley.
Damn, that's
to build-
cold-blooded.
Yeah, to build one-bedroom unit starting at $32.99 per month.
Well, I mean, it is Silicon Valley.
And that's kind of what the whole like that brings us back to like these 12 mega landlords in the Bay Area is that people foresaw the Silicon Valley thing and capitalized on it. So, you know, when you're a group with a lot of money and privileged information, you can afford to make a move this big.
So it sounds like what I guess what's like not under scrutiny, but what makes it look bad is that for the sake of business, they're crushing the affordability of common folks. Right? Because they're technically not doing anything wrong by buying like a big ass unit, tearing it all down, but then now the demographic here didn't really change, and all of a sudden they're all luxury apartments.
Yeah. And that's kind of I think the gripe is that historically SF used to be anti-establishment. They used to be more progressive.
Yeah.
And now like that thinking is sort of gone because it's being replaced and that identity is now like forgotten.
Well, that's because the stupid ass motherfuckers that are at these protests, right? They're fucking protesting with their posters. The whole world's changing behind them, and they don't know. They're like, motherfucker, you need to go change shit back there, but like, change the laws, change, and then literally an entire fucking housing project gets crushed, gets fucking erected. Now it's luxury homes, and they're like, change the laws. They turn around, and they're like, what the fuck? What happened? I'm like, duh. Dumb fuck.
Dude, that's honestly the best way you could put it. Yeah.
Same speed time lapse too.
Fucking dumb fuck, dude.
I think what Joe said earlier, I think the power of unity, even though it's either evil or good, if you have a group of people that can agree on something, they have to meet in a room with same like-minded people meet in a room, they agree on something, they can do anything.
That's why I feel like really bad about you know, people out there protesting, because like they don't know how to fight effectively. They think let's march and spread awareness, that's gonna reduce prices or whatever. That's not. Like, you gotta fight effectively through government, through being business savvy, through finance, through hitting businesses that you don't agree with or whatever. Like, and then it's just kind of sad because like they'll post shit on Twitter or whatever, thinking that that's doing something, or like they'll go out, play they'll hit their bongo drums and shit in a drum circle, and it's like, dude, like, yeah, I see the intensity and the feeling, but that ain't doing shit. What, you know, the shit that they were doing on fucking Wall Street bets, or like trying to take down hedge funds and things like that, like now that's effective, or that's hurting certain things.
Because it's hurting their money.
Hurting the money.
That's all you got to do when something's about financials.
Literally, that's all you got to do is hurt the money. If these companies are coming in and trying to fuck up your neighborhood, fuck those companies up. Figure out how to hurt their money.
Mutiny.
That's all. Not their feelings. Don't fuck with their feelings. That doesn't do anything. Companies don't have feelings. Yeah, they're.
I'm gonna disagree, dude. Bongo drums are very effective.
You just got to tune them. That's all.
We're gonna fight the man.
You hear that bongo drum?
Yeah, where's that rhythm coming from?
It's like, I am now aware.
All these business people are like, oh no, not the fucking bongo drums. There's hippies.
I'm the king of the Cuban beat.
No, but you're right, man. Yeah, it's definitely going after the money for sure is the way to go.
Hit the money, but they're not educated on how to attack, how to fight, like in business. So then they do the best that they can, which is go out into the streets and show their anger. But like, that really does absolutely nothing.
They need leaders out there.
I don't want to lead, man. I'm just here to play. Well, you know what? If we could just give this information somehow, but then at the end of the day, like the people that need to hear it and do something about it, I don't even think they're effectively thinking.
They don't have internet.
Well, I think the people, but you know, I think society has kept them in the grind where your head is down, just like trying to make it to the next day. Even though you're hearing it, you're not hearing it because you're just trying to make it to the next day and get the next check.
That's kind of. I think that's exactly right, because it's like, how do you have time to study about the government when you're too busy trying to fucking feed your family? Exactly. So it's like you're too busy.
Stop feeding your family.
That's true. That's true, huh?
Did I say that out loud?
Anthony said, quit being a lazy shit.
Yeah, dude.
Can you make that just a clip on Instagram?
Stop feeding your family.